Hello there. This morning I had the great privilege of talking to the beautiful Amy, a lady that was born with hip dysplasia in her left hip, where the doctors messed it up when she put her cast on. They actually didn't put the hip in the correct place and put the cast on and just left her to it. Thank God her dad actually looked at the x-rays and challenged the doctors. Later on at 16, she was back in hospital for her first hip replacement. It was a horrendous incident, but her strength and her beauty and her focus on gratitude rather than looking at self-pity helped her push through. At 52, she went in for her second hip replacement, and although the recovery was long and painful, she found some non-drug related medication that helped her all the way. This is a story about mindset, alternative medicines, and the power of gratitude in your healing. I hope you enjoy it, guys. This is me and Amy talking about our hips. So
Yeah,
glad you didn't have trauma. That's absolutely fantastic. But
I
that's the clincher. So
that's the
many women
clincher.
kind of bounce back, don't have trauma, and are absolutely fine. And because surgery is such a normalized everyday occurrence, the few that do come out with trauma and cannot reconnect with their bodies, cannot
Yeah.
reconnect with themselves, and feel completely out of
Well,
their bodies,
yeah,
don't say anything. They're too embarrassed and they're too ashamed to actually come forwards and be like, hey, I'm not okay, because of the fact that so many people bounce back. I actually spent Christmas with two ladies, and one of them had had a C-section. She actually had
yeah.
PTSD from her C-section. She was terrified of ever going back to hospital. She did not trust any medical
Oh,
professionals,
oh.
and she was telling me all about this because obviously I was interested. And her sister came past and was like, yeah, I don't know what she's talking about, to be honest. I was fine. There was
Yeah,
nothing wrong with me. I don't know why she can't bounce back. And I was standing there like, I wonder why she doesn't feel comfortable talking about this. Maybe
yeah,
because she doesn't have the support, or maybe you don't believe her.
yeah.
But it's that they illustrated it
That's
perfectly.
they did.
Why some women feel ashamed and embarrassed to come forward and actually say they're not okay, because surgery is so normalized. And it's something that while I've been doing the research,
Yeah.
childhood medical trauma is on the rise
The
because we're
worst.
pumping kids in and out, and surgery is becoming faster as we're getting better at it and technology is
Yeah.
getting better. And when women go in for surgery, it will depend on where they are on their cycle, where their hormones are, who they are
Sure,
personally, whether they'll come
sure.
out with trauma. And it's because the reason that I'm doing this work is because it's not part of pre-patient care. It's something that people are not being just warned
No,
about.
nobody's walking you through, and I would agree with that 100%. Nobody's walking you through it.
Exactly. And with the rise of mental health conditions right now, and sort of like anxiety and depression becoming
That's
more and
a
more
good
rife.
reason to crash and burn. Yeah.
Exactly. Women are walking
Yeah.
around after surgery completely unaware that their surgery could have been the cause of their
Oh,
mental health issues, because it's a
that
normalized
is
thing, and nobody
terrible.
is taking the time within the system to be like, hey,
Yeah.
we just want to let you know this is a massive operation.
Yeah.
There is a small chance that you may be traumatized afterwards. And that's the thing, awareness is key. Even taking the time to actually sit somebody down and be like, hey, this is the risks, this is what's going to happen to you. And like, we just want to make sure that you are aware that this is happening. So if you get out and you start feeling like this,
Yeah.
please start seeing someone or use the
Yeah.
counseling we offer. Because I've been offered counseling once, and I've been in hospital over 18 times in A&E for children's
Oh,
surgery and stuff like that. But it was just like, yeah, you can have counseling if you like.
you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And it was
think
just like, I don't know, I don't
even at
need
that
counseling.
moment, even at that moment, like the girl with the C-section, if somebody would have just sat next to her and just acknowledged it, I think it would have opened a pathway
Yeah.
for her to feel. and let some of it out, but she's not being allowed to do that.
No, and I know this lady really quite well, and her body issues now, the way that
Yeah.
she feels about her body,
Yeah.
the way the feel that she feels about herself, like her self-worth and her
Well,
ability to
it's just
see
all
her
comes
own
crashing
beauty
down
and
then.
amazingness is so incredible.
Overwhelmed.
But
Yeah.
she has two kids, you know, she has a husband, and she's just getting on with life. Like she has her job now. She is a child. Like she has children. Like she
Yeah.
just got to get on with it.
But,
Like it
but
happened.
she
She's
counts
dealing
too,
with
though.
it.
But she counts too.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just
Ugh.
sharing all of these stories and everything like that. And even because you didn't have trauma,
Yeah.
it's awesome to share these surgery stories because I'm part of loads of different hip replacement groups, and there's so many
Yeah.
women that are struggling with their journey, worried, anxious about it, and they
Well,
come to
that
these
and
sessions, and sharing this kind
yeah.
of stuff really helps them sort of be like, oh, okay, somebody else has been in my position. This is their experience, and it just takes away that anxiety. And that's all I want to do is just help someone feel
And
more calm going into hospital.
when you reached out, that's kind of where I was when I had to have mine. I was searching on the internet. Because I was young and the doctor was like, I don't know, you're kind of young for this. And I couldn't find anybody who wrote anything. There were a few things, but there wasn't anything to give me, well, this is what it's going to be like. This is how bad it's going to hurt. And yes, you had hip dysplasia. So you're going to not heal the same way that, even these 80-year-olds that are just old heal.
Yeah.
No, nobody tells you this. So it was such a bummer. So I agree with you, like letting people know they're going to, this is how it's just, even if you could wrap your head around, this is what's going to happen,
Yeah,
you'd be better
exactly.
off.
How old were you when you had
Yeah.
your hip replacement?
Let's see, I was 52.
52. Yeah. I love the
52.
fact that your surgeons was still like, you're so young to have this.
Yeah.
I love it that they
Yeah.
say that because you're like, okay, so don't do it. Like if I'm too young to have it, like
Oh yeah, but then what am I going to do? I can't get out of bed. And
exactly.
it
It
wasn't,
doesn't matter. It just makes you feel even worse that somebody's being
yeah,
like, you're too young for this. I get it
you're too
all the
young.
time.
And
You're like, you've had a hip replacement. You're too young. And I'm like, that is what I told my surgeon. But he said, well, you can have one or be in pain for the rest of your life.
in pain for the rest of you. Yeah. 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 Exactly. He said, it's up to you. What quality of life do you want?
Exactly.
And I was like, well, this is not the quality of life I want. Because all of my kids were noticing, like, Mom, you're not even the same person.
Yeah.
Because I was in such pain. And
Yeah.
so I couldn't imagine what was going to happen in 10 years. I would be in a wheelchair.
That's the thing. Like you age every day you live in pain.
Oh, that is such a true statement. That's such a true statement. And then every day that you are not, and maybe this is part of my healing journey, every day that you are not, I am so thankful.
Yeah.
I get up every day and I go for a walk because I can
Yeah.
with no pain. Yeah.
And it's such a joy. Just like I just went
It,
hiking on Easter
yeah.
Monday and I was like,
Yeah.
clicky hips, let's go. Just celebrating
Yeah.
the fact that you do have this whole new sort of
Whole new,
celebration of your life and your limbs. Like you just appreciate them so much more. But
oh,
I've
so much more.
come across so many women that are in their 20s and stuff like that that are continuously being told by doctors you
Yeah.
just have to wait, like you're not in enough pain or like you're not quite ready yet, and I'm like, you're 20, you've been in pain for like 5-6 years, it's causing you stress, anxiety, you
Yeah.
can't work. I'm like, change
Oh
your fucking
no.
doctor, guys.
Yeah. Oh no.
That it was like you've
Yeah,
got
and
this
that was, I
life.
think I got lucky because my surgeon did a lot of surgeries on younger girls.
Cool.
It's a hip dysplasia is a girl thing. So a lot of us come in and he said, they might need a new one later, but he's going to give them 20, 30 years
Yeah.
of, yeah. So he was very involved in getting us back out. Like my big goal was to snowboard. I wanted to snowboard. Please don't take that away from me.
Exactly the same
Yeah.
as me.
Yeah,
When I was
don't take it because that's my happy spot.
Yes, that was my
And
one question to my surgeon. He was just like, "What is this fascination with snowboarding? I'm a skier," and I was just like,
oh,
"You obviously don't
well,
want me back on the slopes." Yeah, exactly. But I was just like, "Can I snowboard again?" He's like, "Yes, of course,"
yes,
and I was like,
yes,
"Yes," and that was literally my number one was just like, "I
right.
just want to get back on the slopes." Yeah,
Oh,
I feel you,
I only
girl.
got
I
to go once
feel
this
you.
year. I'm sad. Yeah. And it was hard. I don't know. Like they put me into therapy. So see, you were like me with the dysplasia. So they told me I had to be able to do certain one-legged exercises
Hmm.
before they would clear me to snowboard. And it took me 8 months. I mean, that's the other thing is like you read all these blogs. Oh, I was running a marathon 2 months later, and I was still on a walker.
Hmm.
Like you that would be horrible if somebody put you under that pressure, and then you're so different. So it took me 8 months of crying at therapy every day, which I know you know, but put
Yeah.
the work in. Yeah. You
Yeah,
have to find your path.
I I had yeah, I was the same kind of frustration. I
Yep.
got my surgeon said, "Oh, don't worry about it. You know, most ladies are up and
Yeah.
about within
Yeah.
6 weeks." And when
Yeah.
6 weeks came, I was so angry with myself and I was so angry with him because I was just like, how dare you tell me? I was just like, am I weak? Am I just like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
work? Am I just, did you do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
wrong?
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
Yeah.
Like you told me six
Yeah.
weeks and I'm like still on my walker, same as you. And
Yeah.
I was furious with him and myself. And he was just like, Kim, you have to remember that most women are over 80 and all they
Yes.
want to do is potter to the shops
Yep.
quite happily and that's it.
Yep.
And he was like, you
Yep.
want to zoom down mountains. And I was like, then why the fuck didn't you say that when you were at the beginning? Because I've been punishing myself and getting worse and worse in my mind because I just don't like, I'm doing the work, I'm going to the physio, but I'm just not healing. And it's making me feel like I'm weak or like I'm not
Well,
doing
I
something.
thought
And it's
I
just
thought there
like,
was something wrong.
yeah,
I
me
thought there was something
too.
wrong. Like, is it not right? Do I need to fix something?
Yeah,
And then am I ever going to be able to do these things?
yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I wish they would say that earlier because I had the same as you. I went in about 8, 10 weeks and I was just fit to be tied.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it took me 6 months in the end to get fully kind of like, okay, now we can go back to the gym, to sport, and
Yeah. The
everything like
normal.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you sound
Yeah.
like very
I
active
was
like
eight
me.
months.
So
I was eight
you
months.
were eight
Yeah.
months, yeah.
Twice, two or three times a week I was in there and he was mean. I mean, in a good way, but I mean, there
Yeah.
were times I came out of there and I had just given everything, but um maybe in a way that's also healing because
Mm.
I'm fighting. I wanted it and I have never been stronger, I think. Of course, you come out of that like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. I love that you said
But nobody told me. I had to figure it out on my own. And
that.
so that's why I was interested to what you were doing because I think if you could be a little more real with women, then they would have a better understanding.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
do. And I have talked to so many incredible women, and every single time I talk to them, it's been eye-opening for me, like how different each doctor is. And like
Yeah.
I actually before I started doing this, I had no idea that there was so many different ways to do hip surgery. Like so
Yeah.
many different
Sure.
ways. And I was just like, you're so you just got to move doctors because there's so many different options, but we're not
Right.
told that.
We're
Like
not
the
told
only
that.
reason
That's
I know
another
that
thing
is
too.
because I'm in the
Yeah,
groups and I've been doing this.
yeah,
And even this lady
that's a
that I
good
talked to
point.
the other day, we got far too into it and we were like, I'll show you my scars. We were like pulling our pants down and just having a great time. But her scars are tiny and just go across the top of her hips. And mine are like all the way down my
Oh yeah.
legs to my butt.
Is that, I think I looked on your Instagram where you put the red lines. Are those your scars?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you and I are very similar. I'm cut to shreds on my left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's got these
Yeah.
beautiful little needle
Oh,
envelope cuts. And I was like, you had a double hip replacement. What is this? You know,
oh,
and it's just like I didn't even know that was a possibility that you could get like
it's something so dainty.
I
Oh,
know exactly, but it's just like it's just not something. First of all, I was offered, and the information is just kind of not out there. But she went
now
through several
did she
doctors.
have hip dysplasia?
No, she just well, she had major arthritis, like to the point where
Okay.
her
Okay.
socket was spiked, like completely
Oh,
spiked.
that had to hurt.
Oh yeah, she could not move, and she
Oh,
she was told she got it in her head that she was too young for it, so she put it off and put it
oh,
off for years, and then had
oh.
like got pregnant with her first child, and then obviously with the growing and
And
everything like that.
carried the baby with that? Oh,
Yeah, that was the turning
that
point. She was
pushed
like,
it.
I
Yeah.
couldn't get up, I couldn't pick my
Oh,
baby up, and like yeah, it got to the point where her husband was like, okay, we're going in,
yeah.
and the
We're going
surgeon
somewhere else.
yeah, the surgeon took it out of her hands and was like, we have to do this. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's revolutionized her life as it does, but
Yeah,
you
it
do
does.
get so stuck in that pain point of just like, this is never going to get better. I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to be better. And that's as soon as you start thinking like that, your mind will gravitate
Go
to
down
that.
that path.
Yeah. And
Sure.
you'll just get lower and lower and lower and lower, which is why I'm like, I'm constantly pushing like advocate for yourself, shout
Right.
louder
Right.
if
Right.
you're a
Right. If
doctor
it
that
doesn't
listens
feel
to you.
good, then shop for another person. Just you have, that's a big thing, is you have to feel confident in everything, and especially in this situation. If, because I met a lot of doctors that they looked like they hated their job.
Wow.
And I thought, I mean, when my doctor that I chose, when he walked in a room, he was just so full of life. And you could tell he loved helping. He loved this. That's the kind of doctor you want. But if you don't know that you have options, you're going to stick with Mr. Grumpy Butt, And
Mm.
I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
And I think with the NHS in the UK at the moment, there's such a long waiting list that a
Yeah, yeah,
lot
yeah.
of people are sort of just like, well, I just don't want to wait any longer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get, which I totally get. But if you're waiting to be told that you need to wait more,
Yeah.
then the
Oh,
time is probably better spent
gosh.
trying to find somebody else that at least if
Yeah.
you've waited is going to do something about it.
Yes, correct. Oh,
So,
that's interesting. Yeah. At least we don't have that here. It's hard to get into the good ones, but you can.
mm,
Take you a month or two, but you can. I also listened. The one thing I did hear from a lot of people is that they wish they had done it sooner. And that sort of played in my mind as that pain was getting so bad.
mm,
And then afterwards, my whole family is like, God, why didn't you do this when you were 50? Because it is so life changing. So that message needs to be said more than what they're saying. You get one life. Why are you wasting it like this? That lovely
amen.
lady with her newborn baby, they can help you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how come you did have to have one?
So I was born with breech. I was born breech. And when they pulled me out, they pulled my left leg.
Ah,
And then, and you know how they do with the babies? They didn't do that to me.
okay.
And so when I was about like 8 months old, my mom was like, she doesn't kick her left leg. She doesn't move it. What's going on? And that's when they found it. But it was kind of already too late because stuff was forming. And
Yeah,
so
your
they put me,
sockets hadn't come
yeah,
properly.
it hadn't, right? It hadn't,
Yeah,
hadn't hooked
same.
it. So they put me in traction.
Mm-hmm.
And then from traction to the casting table, it slipped back out again. But they cast me anyway.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my dad happened to see the x-ray. And he was like, "What are you doing? It's still out." And he blew his mind and took me to the orthopedic surgeon. Like, we were with like a group, and he took me to one of the best doctors in LA. And he had to do surgery to get it to stay in place.
Okay.
But that lasted until I was 16, and then they had to rotate it 10 degrees because it was off. So they had to cut it here, rotate it, put like 6 screws in. At 16 years old, I couldn't walk for like 8 months. I was on crutches, no weight bearing, just to get it back. And that lasted until I was 50, which I think was pretty good. But that was a horrific surgery.
Yeah.
Horrific.
How did that kind of impact you while you were growing up?
Well, so the weird things happen that are very stressful to a teenager. I mean, people would see my scar and like point at it. One girl pointed at it and screamed, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" And I was like, at least I had enough in me to say, "Shut up, just shut up." But I know if I did, and I don't know where that came from, except for I was really glad to be walking. If I didn't have that strength, that would be devastating, and I wouldn't go out in a bikini again, you know? So that even when it happened, it took me a minute to sort of like, but I don't know why. I told her to shut up and moved on.
That's great.
Right.
I
But
think
other than that, I
powers
mean, once it
forward,
was,
huh?
yeah, because it could, especially now, I see the teenage girls now, they're really affected by it. Maybe when I was younger, we weren't. So I don't know. They seem really, they want this perfect picture Instagram life. It's really affecting them. But I didn't have that. So I didn't worry about it. I guess it was the same kind of thing. I was in so much pain at 16 that when it was gone, I was grateful.
So you just kept focusing on the gratitude, huh?
Yeah,
Kept going.
I think so. Because I couldn't even walk a block. And my friends want to go walk the mall, and I couldn't do it. So that was a big thing for me, I think. I think in that situation, like because I've had a bunch of C-sections. Those also, nobody tells you the pain. It's the same. I could see that. That's very interesting what you're doing. Because I could see if you could have somebody walk you through it. It's not addressed enough.
No. And
And
especially for women. That's the thing. Women need that extra care because we are different. We do have different hormones. Our pain threshold is amazing. Every single woman I come across, I'm just like, hell, girl, our pain threshold is amazing. We should be ruling the world.
Now that's a true statement.
Exactly, right? But we're also a hell of a lot more sensitive to sort of like and
that's what's not being met.
yeah, exactly. And every incision is actually trauma on your body. Like scientifically, if you get an incision,
100%.
have an accident or a cut, your body feels that trauma.
100%.
Whether your mind backs it up or not. It sounds like you had an amazing mindset throughout everything. And I love the fact that you just keep coming back to being like, I was just grateful that I wasn't in pain and I was walking again. And I wish that I had had the strength at that time to do the same thing as you and just be like, shut up and just be grateful.
Move on. But then nobody taught you that. And I don't know where it came from. Maybe my dad, I don't know, but so then now here you are in this situation and you're learning. So that is something that should be brought up to these women. And it worked for me. Maybe it's not going to work for everybody, but it's a tool in your toolbox now. And I think all these little things put together I don't think it was one little thing. I mean, of course, for me also, it was, I had this crazy support around me, and um, I wasn't left to suffer in my pain. And I didn't have somebody poo-pooing me and telling me, oh, it didn't hurt, I'm fine. So all those little things, they add up.
Mhm.
And I would just say that we need to pay more attention to that. I would also say that, like, my surgeon had a nurse that was assigned to me for my hip surgery. And she called me 2 weeks prior and worked with me like every other day. And we did YouTube videos, and so they were paying a little more attention.
Okay, great. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so that's another thing that I think all these little things add up to it.
Mhm.
If you're just thrown in and nothing, no support, you're gonna come out a little bit shocked, screaming.
Yeah. So
It hurts.
your nurse worked with you that closely and showed you like YouTube videos and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit more
Her
about that
name was
because that sounds
Stephanie.
amazing.
I will never forget her, because Stephanie also um I had one really bad experience after the surgery, and that was, I didn't realize the effects of 3 days of pain medicine. And do you know what happens after 3 days of pain medicine? I don't know if you had the same experience. You can't go
I
to
was
the
on pain
bathroom.
medicine for a lot longer than
Oh,
that.
oh. Well, I couldn't go to the bathroom, and it was so bad that my husband found me naked on the floor,
Wow.
screaming. And my friend Stephanie, I mean, because I had her, I had her personal phone number, and she got me on. My daughter got me medicine and got it better. But yeah, he had this person that was assigned. It wasn't just me, it was all of his patients. They all got somebody,
That's fantastic.
right? So,
Yeah.
like, I think all of that stuff, I mean, she was a godsend.
Mhm.
We went through, she would, make sure that I had my surgery area set up properly. So when I came home, I had a safe place. She ordered all the stuff, my walker and all that, and it came to my door, and it was great.
That's such a service. I love that.
I know. He was great. He was really good.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and it's not so hard. I mean, I guess it's a little bit of money, right? You have to pay this lady to talk to me on the phone a few times, but it set himself up. You don't hear that? Nobody else does that? Did I just get lucky for that?
Um, I had a nurse to start with,
Okay.
and they did sort of like a group kind of sit you down and talk about what was going to happen. But I was so traumatized by my childhood one, and nobody had dealt, like we hadn't dealt with
Yeah.
it, that I actually fainted in that and slid off my chair. I
Oh,
wasn't,
honey bunny.
yeah, I wasn't able to do any of that. And my nurse, she was amazing. And every woman that I've talked to has had one nurse or
That,
one doctor that was like
see,
that angel
yeah,
that came at the
yeah.
perfect time after going through so many. And
Uh,
she was great. And after I'd fainted in the thing, I just turned to her and was like, do I need to know this? Is it going to change
right,
anything about what's going to happen? She was
right.
like, no. And I was like, then I don't want to fucking
And
know
out.
anything. I can't,
Ha,
like,
ha.
I
You
get
can't
it. I'm having a hip replacement. Like, get me in there, do what you got to do, and get me the fuck out of
get me
here.
out.
I was just like, all I want to
See,
know is how long you think it's going to take me to recover, how I can do
yeah,
it the fastest possible,
fastest. Yep.
and whatever happens in the operation room, that's all you.
I don't need to know. Yep.
Yeah, my one
Yep.
request was that when they were going to do the epidural, that
Yep.
I was going to get, because they put a catheter in the back of your hand.
Yeah.
And it's just one of my massive triggers. I just cannot
And
handle
you
it.
know that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
and I know that.
Yeah, I know
And
it.
my veins will disappear as soon as they see a needle. So it was the same
Oh,
with my dad. My dad used to faint with needles too. But so my family need like pediatric needles to get into
yeah.
the veins. So I
Yeah.
told her this, and I was just like, so if you could ask the anesthetist to just knock me out like a little bit, as much as he can
Yes.
before he does the epidural,
Yeah.
then this will
The
go
happy juice. Yeah.
yeah, then this
Yeah.
will go a lot smoother for everybody, and I will just be able to stay calm. And she was like, yeah, no worries. And she said she would talk to the anesthetist
Yeah.
about this, and that got lost. That got lost in translation. And when the anesthetist came, he was unbelievable. Like, I get it. He does it every day. He knows what he's doing, but he's
Oh
so
no.
arrogant about it. So when I told him, I'm just like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I talked to my nurse. She said that I could get,
Yeah. Yeah.
knocked out a little bit before you do this. And he was like, well, we just don't have time for that. And I didn't get that message. So don't worry. I do this all the time. You will be fine. And I was like, no, you need a pediatric needle because and he was like,
Yeah.
no, you've got great veins. Don't worry about it. And I was just like getting more
When
and
they
more.
say that, I'm like,
Exactly. And I was getting
I'm
like,
calling
I was
bullshit. You
already,
gotta go.
exactly. I was already in a panic state because I was just about to go into surgery. And he's saying that and he's trying to make small talk to me. And my veins have disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he stabs me 3 times. And I'm getting more and more irate until
I'm gonna do this.
I
Yeah.
I punched a nurse because
I mean,
I started screaming and shouting and being like,
yeah.
no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, and thrashing around. I had 2 nurses
Yeah.
hold me down, one of which I pushed and like smacked her in the face to get her off. I was screaming. He's
I would
grabbing
do
my
the same.
arm,
No way.
and he was just like, Kim, so where do you work? I know I just like my whole voice, my whole demeanor changed, and I just turned and went, get it in my fucking arm. Like, you know what I mean? Just like it got to the point where it's like, you didn't listen to me.
Ugh.
Like, you've been stabbing me 3 times, and I can see him getting more and more worked up because he can't do it. And I'm like, if you just listen to me, this was my one
Like,
request.
I know my body. I
Yeah,
know my body.
like I'm doing this to protect myself and you. So yeah, and in the end, like 2 nurses holding me down. He gets in. My surgeon comes out of the operating room. I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" And I was just like, "Yeah."
And it would have been so easy. Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's just
And the
like
other thing
doctors and
is,
the nurses
all
are
this
incredible, but
were,
it's just like you just because they're patients doesn't mean they don't understand what's coming and
yeah,
they're not just saying something to be annoying, they're not just saying something because that's the way they want it. It's just like we're saying it because
this
this is to make it
this is
easy.
us. We know our
Yeah,
bodies.
exactly. So yeah, just so, like the arrogance of just a couple of people within the medical profession, which is why I'm like, you need to advocate for yourself. Doctors and nurses are amazing, but you have to remember that they see hundreds and thousands of people every
Yeah,
day. They are
yeah.
tired and they're human. They can make mistakes. Um,
Wow, that's a big one. That's a big one because you also want to go into surgery feeling safe.
yeah,
I
as
think
safe as
that's another
possible.
big one. And you did not feel safe.
Yeah. That's the thing when
Yeah.
you think about it, they're cutting pretty much half your leg off.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? If you could just do a couple of things to make me feel a
Just be
little bit more
nice.
safe right now, that'd be great.
Oh my God. So
Um,
that's interesting that they do an epidural because they did not do that for us.
yeah,
So
they
that's interesting.
did.
And then he told me, because they made me like sedated, but not
Oh,
completely
totally
asleep.
out. Okay.
I don't know. But he said I was talking and I'm like, oh God, what did I say? He's like, no, we had a nice conversation.
I love that.
I
Wow.
don't know who you were talking to because it
Right
wasn't
now.
me.
That's amazing.
It was, he said that they brought me back up at the end and asked me, does anything hurt and stuff like that, which I have no memory of whatsoever.
Yeah.
But he
Too many
said that
pain
I
meds
was,
right there. I'm just like, nothing
I know. I'm like,
hurts.
whatever. I said, no, I did not talk. No, I did not. He's like, yeah, we had a nice conversation. Ah, I hate that. I don't like that.
That's so cool.
Uh,
I love that.
that was funny.
So, just to go a bit into it, because you said you had a little bit of a rough recovery, just like it was a
Yeah.
long time. So,
Yeah.
what did you find kind of like was like game changers. I'm really sorry. I'm just gonna have to run because my alarm on my phone is going off and it's driving me nuts. Give me
Oh,
one.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. It's really, it's 5
That's
a.m. and I
funny.
was
So
just
it's
like,
beeping,
ah,
beeping.
get away. Yeah, so I know you said that it was a little bit rough and it took a long time.
Yeah.
Is there anything kind of like that were absolute game changers for you for your recovery? And I know that you've already gone over like a few things that you really wish you'd
Yeah.
known, but
So the one thing I think I wish I would have known more is I think I would have liked to have, and I don't know if you can really do this, but like interviewed your physical therapist,
hmm,
because I started out with one and I was there, I think the first 6 or 8 weeks, and he did nothing,
oh wow.
nothing. So like he would like massage a little and like, and that was it. Okay, thanks, and charge me a ton of money. And so for those first 6 or 8 weeks, I think I missed a huge window, even if it was just walking a little bit, with him, or there was no movement.
What?
It was weird. So then I switched
Okay.
to another one who was, military, but instantly I felt my leg firing back up. And I think a lot of times people don't even go to physical therapy. And
Yeah.
so there's that, like that was a game changer for me switching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm trying to think what else. So I lost a lot of blood.
Oh wow.
So I was at a point in my life where I kind of cut out most meat, and I was um and then in the surgery I lost a lot of blood. And so he was on the verge of giving me blood because there was so much. So that was a big problem when I came out. Like they make you go to the bathroom before you can leave. And I got up and, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And for
work.
about a week after, so he sent me home and said, you need to eat a hamburger every day, which was like, not doing that, but I did it and I felt much better.
Mm-hmm.
So little tricks, I guess. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. Be patient. I, like you, was not patient.
Mm.
You're on your own healing journey. It's not anybody else's. And I had to figure that out. It was hard. I thought I was never going to get better. At that 16-week mark, I thought, this is it. I'm never gonna be able to walk like down the block. It was my hip flexor was really angry. And so when I walked a lot, it would twinge. And that was tough to get through. That was just a lot of stretching and, getting it to work again. Um, I also had, do you get restless leg? Do you,
I'm not
do
sure
you know
what
what
that
that is?
is. No.
So like if you sit too long, like let's say you're on an airplane and you're sitting too long, it's this feeling that your legs have to move. And then one of them, my left one, does this. Okay.
Wow. Mind of
But
its own.
for me, it was right at that point where you're falling asleep.
Uh-huh.
You're just about asleep.
Oh.
My leg would go boom. It was so bad I couldn't sleep.
Wow, that's crazy. I think I just get twitching. Now you've said that, I'm like, I wonder if that's that, but I think I just get twitching. But
Oh, well,
wow, that's
yeah, there's a
crazy.
twitch. There's a twitch, which sometimes, you get, but no,
Yeah.
this is a full blown, it's like an electric shock going through your leg.
Wow. Okay.
And I didn't know, and my doctor didn't know what to do. So I reached out to, because he was going to give me muscle relaxers, which I really didn't want. So I reached out to my operating nurse, who was also a cannabis RN, and she mixed me up a cocktail. that I took before bed.
And it was good.
Solved the problem.
Amazing. Oh,
I slept.
fantastic. That's awesome.
There's these little tricks. You got to try little weird things. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. It's because for me, like I used to, my friends used to always make fun that I would have an accident just so I could go back to hospital and get more good drugs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the more that after years of kind of doing that and losing so much time
Yeah.
afterwards and the withdrawal from all the
Yeah.
drugs, I feel
Yeah.
it more and more as I'm getting older. When I was younger, I
Yeah.
was just like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
this is great.
Whatever.
Give
Yeah.
me more morphine. But now it's just like I just want
Oh,
to
it
get,
lingers.
oh
Yeah.
man, it lingers and you feel so sick. So I'm
Mhm.
all about these alternative kind of
Yeah.
non-medical
Well, I
ways
was
because the
afraid of a
drugs have
muscle
loads of
relaxer. I
side
thought,
effects.
yeah, I thought it was going to make me all, there was a movie where a girl took them and she was all, yeah, I didn't want to do that. So that really helped. And it was funny, I think, because a couple times my kids came in and would talk to me and I was sound asleep and I would do the same. I would talk back. No memory. It's
Yeah,
a
I've definitely
concern.
had a couple of comatose conversations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think that's kind of it. I think the rest of it was just kind of normal,
normal.
you know.
Perfect. You know what? All of these tiny little tidbits, there will be somebody else, especially with the pain. And I
Yeah,
love the fact that you were just like, just get it done
yeah,
sooner. Because I think
yeah,
so many people are so afraid of getting it done. And it's just like you have to balance up the fear of losing out in life, the fear of like having every day in pain and not being able to live, to just having this one surgery and
yep,
like that
yep,
time, the time cost. Okay, it's
yep,
recovery, it's six
yep.
months, or it's years of pain.
Years,
You
years and
know?
years. And like you said, it ages you twice as much every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do, and my doctor also said you will know, like you will walk into this room and you will say, I
I'm
am done. I'm done.
nice.
Yes. And so I don't think, but women aren't taught to listen.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to listen to what their doctors are saying. And if like that mom, if you, if she would have listened, she would have been like, I am done with this pain. I'm done and let's fix it. But everybody kind of poo-poos it.
Yeah.
You know your own body, but that is a really hard place to get to.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, maybe you do have to be older to understand that. Because in your 20s, I don't think I would have understood that.
You don't think you would have had the strength to sort of be like, okay, no, I
I
need to
don't
get
think
this.
I don't, I would have been a little more passive. Yeah.
Okay. I like that little insight. I like that little insight. I always
Yeah.
feel like
No.
as a teenager I was such a douchebag. I
Brat.
would really like screamed and shouted about it. But actually if it came to the hospital and everything like that, because it was so traumatized, and obviously you do put a lot of faith in doctors, and it's just like
You
they're
do.
telling me this, like I don't know any better, like just go with it. And yeah, I think it is just something like you do know your own body and have faith in yourself of just like if you know that
Mhm.
something's wrong, fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think a lot of times when you're younger, you do have starry eyes. Like you think the doctors are like a form of a god, right? Because you look
Yeah.
up to them and they're going to fix me. And I think as I got closer in age to those doctors, I kind of realized, oh no, they're just like me. They're just trying to get through the day.
Yeah.
And so that was a better way. Then you become a team player. You guys are all on the same page, working towards the same goal. You don't have some sort of starry eyed about them.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit to get there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an awesome little bit of insight. Like
Yeah.
that's yeah. Great.
It just,
Thank
it just takes time. Well,
that's it. Thank
I
you so
love
much
what
for
you're
taking
doing.
thank
Keep doing
you.
it. It's such a good idea, especially now that I've thought about it for a while and heard some of this. I keep screaming.
Thank you, darling.